Martin. There we go. All right, you're hot in 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show live. You can find it on Facebook at Martin Houston Live and on YouTube. You can also find this on Tide 109 on Facebook as well. Also follow at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. We're live and local and ready to get things rolling right here on the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports, your show, your team. Encouraging you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904. 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. We will get things rolling with excuse me, with DC in the second quarter, but until then, I want to invite you to get in on the conversation. Of course, big news today is the Alabama Crimson Tide basketball team traveling down to the Plains to take on the number one ranked Auburn Tigers, ranked number one in both polls. So big news for them. And in the coaches poll, slotted with Gonzaga. But either way, number one team in the land, in one of the loudest, craziest stadiums, Coliseum basketball arenas in the SEC and maybe in the country with what they're going on. So this would be a big-time challenge for the Alabama Crimson Tide as they have knocked off three of the top four teams from last year's Final Four. Can they get the number one team in the land? We'll be talking about that. We'll, of course, get DC's thoughts on their Baylor victory, what's been going on with this team, as well as whether he thinks they can. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on it as well. Also, news on the gridiron, Alabama getting their first commitment with Mr. Elliott Washington II. So Alabama first commitment for the 2023 class. Clarify there, getting a 4-star from Venus, Florida. We'll see what that means in terms of this class getting rolling. DB coming in, hoping to have some impact as Alabama get started. Yeah, that's all you can do is start somewhere. It's so weird, Joe, with this new setup with the early signing period. Really not a lot of news with what would be typically only a couple of years ago the hottest time in college recruiting, but not the case. We got a lot more to get into, but before we get into that, I want to remind you, like we do each and every day, that this is a day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. As I said, got a lots going on, Joe. When you look at what's happening with Alabama football, we'll say the basketball conversation till DC gets on, because I know he loves to talk hoops as well. But Joe, how weird is this hiring process that Nick Saban's going through right now? I mean, it seems to be pretty much a done deal with the Eric Wolford being hired on at Alabama, and does that make you feel pretty certain that O'Brien is out as well as Marone?
I'm not quite ready to go there yet. Obviously, it looks like some of the writing might be on the wall. I think the New England opening makes a lot of sense for him. But I'm not quite ready to say like, oh, for sure he's out. I think it's leaning likely that he's looking that way for sure. I think Doug Marrone is probably headed to Denver. It's been very interesting. You said right at the beginning how odd has it been? Yes, it's been weird. We're not really making any announcements. Some of these guys have have so these hires have been reported by Bama Online, reported by Bama Central, some of these
Yeah.
bigger outlets, and you look and verify you look to verify, and all you got is these coaches' Twitter accounts where I'm the new outside linebackers coach and I'm the new offensive line coach, but we haven't announced any firings, we haven't announced any departures. So it's very strange. I mean, I trust that these guys are coming here and will be on the new staff, but it's very interesting to see that like we haven't announced any departures at the moment.
Yeah, nobody. No, and of course, Saban's. His claim to fame. He's never fired a coach. So, um, I guess that's one way to not fire a coach is hire his replacement and make the guy leave. I guess, Joe. But yeah, you know what I mean. I guess if I um, don't fire you, but I hire your replacement, I guess that means that you will ultimately just leave in the sense of what's happening. But it is really, really a strange situation to me that you know, we have two coaches hired for positions that have not been fired and have not announced a new location. And in the South thing, I make the assumption that if that's legit, Sal will probably do something off the field. Marone uh, heads back potentially to the NFL. And the reason I say the Doug Marone thing, Doug Marone and O'Brien are supposedly in-laws. I should say supposedly. I was told by a pretty good source that they're brother-in-laws. So they kind of tied and connected at the hip. And supposedly O'Brien advocated for Marone to be hired by Saban, and that's what was done. But there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of question. Even Chris Lowe reporting about Eric Wolford has accepted the Alabama O line job. So I mean, it's just interesting. And then I guess the question becomes, Joe, an interesting question. Or a name that someone brought to me, and I don't know if you've heard it or not yet. Have you heard any name for potential replacements for LSU? I mean, for Alabama, if O'Brien goes out.
Well, I've heard two names. I can't tell you that they're the most credible, but I have heard Tom Herman has been really talked about, and I've heard Freddie Kitchens
Ah,
are two names that I have kind of just been
okay.
hearing just from different people with various connections to the program. Now, obviously, Coach Saban can pull. He can go much deeper than those two names if he if he so chooses. I think that offensive coordinators are going to be beating down the door. They're going to be lying around the block trying to coach Bryce Young.
Well, let me tell you a name. Let me throw you a third name in there, and then we can talk about those names. Joe Brady.
Hey, my guy,
Yeah.
I got some news for Joe Brady. He's actually being really courted by the greatest franchise in the NFL to be a quarterbacks coach for the future of the NFL. Justin Fields.
Oh, so you're really hoping that's not the news, right? You hope Tom Herman or Freddie comes here and Joe stays there, right?
Well, Joe's looking for a job, but yes, I'd love for him to be the new quarterbacks coach of the Chicago Bears. That's one of the rumors around his name.
Yeah, that's interesting. And like I said, someone source was telling me that they had heard that Saban had reached out to him. Now, um, when Joe Brady and Joe Burrows beat Alabama, I actually said then, if there's an opportunity, Nick Saban will have that guy in Tuscaloosa at some point because he's just, I mean, what he did was unbelievable. And let's talk to O'Brien to the New England Patriots and Joe Brady to here. Does both quarterbacks win in that environment? Does O'Brien become an awesome fit, especially with his use of the tight ends from the days of Hernandez and Gronk, uh, in the fact that the Patriots went out this past year and spent a lot of money on dual tight ends, but didn't use them that much. There's O'Brien and what you call it, is that a great pair? And then of course Brady coming here for uh, our quarterback, of course, Bryce Young. Which one of those two get wins, or is it a win for both?
I mean, I think it'd be a win for whoever's getting to coach by Bill O'Brien. Really, I think he's a pretty smart guy when it comes to offense. I think it's very interesting that he's about to face a decision whether he wants to keep coaching Bryce Young or whether he wants to move on and maybe coach Mac Jones.
Yeah, that's an interesting scenario. I think on the surface, Mac Jones gets a boost for his NFL career that I think helps to potentially catapult him even into bigger and better success, knowing how that Patriots machine works. I think it would be a huge get there. But seeing what Joe Brady did with Joe Burrows, uh, and it seems like it wasn't just a temporary thing, you know. Um, like it, love it or hate it, Joe Burrows and Joe Brady shows that the right coach, the right scheme, and the right connection can not only help a player in that moment, but also catapult them forward. I don't think we have Joe Burrow if there is no Joe Brady. And he didn't even look like the same kid from one year to the next. And uh, if he can help Joe Burrows do what he did, I can only imagine what he could do. But we'll come back on the other side. We'll talk about those other three names. I know Freddie has a connection to the University of Alabama, former player, former OC in the NFL as well. But I can tell you, Joe, when Ohio State beat Alabama that first year in the playoffs, that year, um, the Tom Herman spent some time here in Tuscaloosa learning and growing. So I mean, Saban learning and growing from him and his offense. So I know that there's a relationship and a connection there, even though he was on the other side of the aisle at one point. So we'll talk about those OC potential candidates. Is there someone else you want to bring up? You're welcome to do that as well. You can call us on the Taco Casa hotline at 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. Go check them out for lunch and or dinner. Taco Casa, tacocasa.com. And remember, coming back on the other side, we'll love to get your thoughts and have conversation with you. We'll have DC Capstone Report on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, everything pretty quiet on the roadways on this Tuesday morning. We do have one wreck on 2059 at the exit ramp to Covered Bridge Road. This is westbound. Watch out for emergency personnel. It's a brand new month. That means brand new deals at your hometown dealer, Townsend Nissan of Tuscaloosa. And I'm Captain Ray.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Water stains on the shower glass. Try rubbing some shaving cream on them.
Tyler's cleaning crew knows every housekeeping trick in the book.
Handling timesheets now.
But they need a proper bookkeeper to keep finances tidy.
New equipment is a business expense, right?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow truck, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadways.
We're making improvements announcements and helping our community stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit drivesafealabama.org, brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Another nice warm up today. The sky partially sunny, the high at 66. For tonight, increasingly cloudy with a low at 49. Tomorrow, cloudy, rain moving in by afternoon, the high 64. A few scattered showers Thursday with a high at 70. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 34 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. 205-342-9904. Taco Casa hotline numbers once again is 205-342-9904. We'd love to hear from you. We got DC Capstone Report. Good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, Martin. Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Glad to have you back. Hopefully everyone's doing well and you had some good time away, spending a little time with your sweetheart.
Had a great anniversary trip. It was a wonderful time, and come back and everybody kind of got sick here in the household, but they're all doing better this time, so everything's going good.
Well, good. A quarter of a century is nothing to shake your head about. So congratulations on that, and 25 awesome years, and pray for many, many more. DC, well, since the last time we saw you, spoke with you, the wheels fell off, and I think we jacked the car up and at least put a couple wheels back on Saturday. Just getting your thoughts about this Alabama basketball team.
Yeah, I tell you, it's kind of I described them as schizophrenic at one point, just because they didn't know what personnel they were going to carry when they came out on the court. And so I think when you say the wheels fell off, I think something happened with their attitude and their mindset. I think that's where they got off the track, and I think they started believing all the stuff about how good they were, and games they'd won, and then they just didn't have the mindset to continue with that. And I think that happens sometimes, especially when you're a young team and you can't handle success. I think that happened a little bit. Plus some injuries that may have kind of dampened the locker room a little bit. And I think that had a little bit to do with it as well. But attitude means a lot. And I think that especially when you're counting on your leaders to have the right attitude, and when they don't, it kind of filters down to everybody else on the team.
Absolutely. We're gonna I get that thought, but just so I can make sure, since I'm only going to have you on today, I'm going to back up and go ask you a couple questions on football, then we'll come back over to basketball and wrap it up. Alabama football, first of all, got a big recruit. That's, anytime you start building your next class before the current class is completely inked and dried is always good news. Alabama getting a 4-star kid out of Florida yesterday. So off to a good start there. Know much about this kid or seen or heard much about him?
Yeah, I know a little bit about him. I think great great defensive back. I wouldn't be surprised if later on he evolves into a 5-star based on his play. Comes from a great family. I think his dad's a coach. Has a lot of mentally head straight in the game and knows a lot about football. And really, I think he's looking at playing at the next level and thinks that Alabama is the best place for him to do that. So a great get by Alabama. It's always good to get a start on the, like you said, on the next class before I guess officially would be a great big day in recruiting, but not more. But officially, I think the signing class is on Wednesday this week. So I think it's great to have somebody in the fold for the next class. Start building on it. So I think it's a really big pickup for Alabama.
Absolutely. And then when you look at the interesting happenings around the Alabama football staff, 3 coaches hired, 1 coach out. One coach, as far as on the staff, of course, Jake Long, an analyst, also went to Oregon. But as far as on the field coaches, there's been 1 to leave. Valai went as a co-defensive coordinator to Oklahoma. However, we've hired an outside linebacker coach and reported it yesterday by several sources that Eric Wolford, O-line coach, has been hired in. First of all, here's a guy. This guy he's kind of a journeyman. I think this will be his 13th stop since '95. But supposedly building a nice reputation for himself as a good SEC offensive line coach, despite time in the NFL. He's been most recent with Kentucky and had spent some time at South Carolina as well. Good move for Alabama, I guess, with Doug Marrone technically out unofficially.
I think when you say unofficially, I mean it's official. It's not official from the university standpoint, but I think just kind of, if you were to open up the curtain a little bit and get a chance to look inside the Coach Saban's program and how he does things, a little bit of inside information that I have just based on the process, nothing earth-shattering, but I think as good leaders do, at the end of the year, he does a review and exit with each individual coach, just to kind of see where they're heading, because in this day and time, with the NFL and the coaching changes and so on can't be solidified until after the playoffs, you don't really know where the person's head is. And so I think when you go through that exit interviews, if you will, you have a good understanding of what you need to do. And as Coach Saban does, he never sits back and waits, because at all times, he's always said he has a list in his pocket of the best available coaches out there. And he wants to make sure that he can snatch them up before someone else gets them. And so I think he goes and starts that process. So we may think it's crazy, but I think it falls in line with the process that he goes through. Obviously, Doug Marrone's already told him that he's going to go back to the NFL, wants to go back to the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised if Bill O'Brien doesn't do the same thing, since they're kin folks and come as a package deal, if you will. I think the hire for Wolford is a really good hire for Alabama. If you look back, 1 year at Kentucky, you had Kentucky in the finals for the Joe Moore Award. When was the last time Kentucky was in the finals for that award? That's a big deal for an offensive line. So I think that he's a really big hire. If you look back further than just Kentucky jobs, you've got some NFL experience, you've got some other college experience. So it'd be good for him, good hire for him to get into the position to coach at Alabama, and then also good for Alabama to get someone new in there who's been recently, with the, competing in the SEC.
Yeah, and of course, I would say that O-line was probably our biggest question mark all of last year. And as a Bama fan, you probably feel better that at least don't know that you're going to be better, but at least it looks like Nick Saban has made a move that you hope will lead to an improvement. Next, of course, the conversation regarding O'Brien and whether or not he's going to be back or not. It appears that he could potentially be out of here. So I guess the first question is, does it excite you, worry you, concern you if O'Brien is gone and Nick Saban doesn't, like he's had in the past, up until O'Brien, he's had somebody in the fold ready to go. And so does that concern you with Bryce Young coming back, or does it excite you?
Doesn't concern me. It doesn't really excite me. I'm good either way. I think Bryce Young has a really good relationship with Bill O'Brien. I think that Bill O'Brien enjoys coaching him. I think he does a good job in offense teams. Obviously, if the NFL teams want him, he has a good head on his shoulders for the offensive scheme. In my opinion, I feel like Bill O'Brien's game is better suited for the NFL. I think he does a good job of working in a situation where with the schemes, NFL type schemes. I think he would be great for someone like a Mac Jones or Justin Fields, someone like that to learn from, and especially in the NFL game right now, the way it's going. And I wouldn't be surprised to find him going back to New England to fill that slot by Josh McDaniels, now head coach at Las Vegas Raiders. So I don't think that would be a surprise to Coach Saban if he does go back. I think he already knows his idea of where he's leaning, and if he does, he's already made some contacts to fill that offensive coordinator position. Now, if he does leave and go to the NFL, my top pick for Alabama to get, who I'm hearing is got engaged interest already, and that'd be Tom Herman. I think he's been here before, in just a off the books role to come in and kind of have some connections here. I think Coach Saban's always been impressed with him, and I'm hearing that name. And then Joe Brady, I think another name that's been thrown around out there, and so either one of those two would be good, in my opinion. Coach Saban always goes after those who have an opportunity to show him a few things, and those two coaches have definitely showed him some things in their victories over the Tide in the past years.
Let me go back to Joe. You there? Did
yes,
you,
sir. Yes, sir.
Did you hear what's his name mentioned? DC mentioned O'Brien to Fields. Does that excite you? I know the Joe Brady to Fields excited you a little bit. We had that conversation, but what about O'Brien if he ended up there?
Well, that'd be a lot of fun. I would be happy with that just from a fan standpoint. But the Bears have hired an offensive coordinator, Getsy from he was the quarterbacks coach with Green Bay. So if he'd like to come be the quarterbacks coach, I think it'd be a bit of a demotion for him. But I'd love to have him. I'd love to have him.
So now, who did the Bears go with on their OC?
Oh, well, I think his first name is Nathan. Is Getsy he was the quarterbacks coach for the Green Bay Packers the last handful of years.
Man, that's all. I guess anytime I think of a guy who coached a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, it can go either way. Either he learned a whole lot in watching how he plays and coaching him up, or he really doesn't have a clue.
Yeah, exactly. Just said, good job, Aaron. Looks good, Aaron.
It's always scary. Yeah, it's always scary when you get a coach from somewhere like that because Aaron Rodgers is so accomplished.
Exactly.
But
I don't know how much he's helping Aaron Rodgers.
But I will say this. When what's his name first went there as the head coach, Aaron struggled a little bit. And so he did, slowly get better and better and get more accustomed to the offense. So maybe the coach is a good coach. But anyway, we'll wait and see on that. Hopefully, I think Justin Fields. Personally, I've given Justin a hard time because of some different things, but I think Justin Fields has the DNA or the core ingredients to be battling for the conversation amongst all of these young quarterbacks to be one of the dominant players down the stretch if they will build around him. And that's the question you have to wait on the Bears to see is, are they going to build around him? So, but anyway, speaking with DC Capstone Report, coming back on the other side, we'll talk about those three candidates real quick, and then we'll transition to some basketball in Alabama and Auburn. But if you want to get in on the conversation, We'd love to have you be a part of it. And once again, you can do that at the Taco Casa hotline at 205-342-9904, or you can post your thoughts and comments via chat, and we'll bring it into the conversation. Want to remind you that there's only today and tomorrow left to help raise $50,000 for Women Athletic Scholarship Fund through the Crimson Tide Foundation. You can do that. Alabama One has made a $25,000 matching funds donation. So we'll match the first $25,000 that come in for women athletics in honor of National Girls and Women in Sports Day, which is on tomorrow. So we want to encourage you to get in on that great opportunity. Double your impact by joining Alabama One and many others who are investing in women and allow them to continue their sports careers, as well as get a great education at the University of Alabama. You can go to uacft.org, and then it's National Girl Women's Sports Day, NGWSD. So National Girl and Women's Sports Day. And give and donate. And if you can't find that, just go to Crimson Tide Fund. But once again, double your impact and join us in the matching that $25,000 donation by Alabama One. You want to find out more about Alabama One, go to alabama1.org.
Tide
From the Townsend
100.9.
Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks on this Tuesday morning and traffic moving pretty well. The interstate is fairly heavy eastbound toward Mercedes and Birmingham. If you see other conditions, just give me a call. Don't miss the February savings at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer with a great selection, and they want your trade. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is customer service with a showroom exceptional customer service. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama One, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
You know what happens in a plasma chamber?
Big stuff. Science stuff.
Diamonds. I'm Tom Osmond. Fincher and Osmond Jewelers carries artisan-created diamonds.
Earth and human safe.
And bigger. Lots bigger.
Fincher and Osmond diamonds from the mines or artisan-created diamonds.
They're all diamonds.
If you want to give her the big stuff, you've got to see these diamonds.
FincherandOsmond.com, a little tricky to find on McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Routes.
This tax filing season could be one for the record books. There are thousands of dollars worth of new tax credits on the table, and Jackson Hewitt will help make sure you get every one you deserve. Tax credits for being a parent, taking care of a parent, taking classes, and so much more. Don't leave thousands on the table. Jackson Hewitt will make sure you get credit for all you do and get your biggest refund guaranteed. Learn more and find your nearest location at jacksonhewitt.com.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Baby, baby, it looks like it's gonna hail. Baby, baby, it looks like it's gonna hail.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. Glad to have you back in with us. We're moving right along this morning, having a little conversation around Alabama and OCs and coaches leaving. And even though it's strange to us, it's probably right in line with what Coach Saban wants to get accomplished. Names being tossed out. I'm sure there may be others. But Tom Herman, Freddie Kitchens, Joe Brady, the three names that I've heard. If I was ranking those three, I probably would go Brady, Herman, Kitchens, potentially, but I do like the intrigue of Freddie Kitchens potentially. I think he probably gets less love because he hasn't been in the college game, but did a really, really good job in the NFL. And I think he was a scapegoat at Cleveland. But anyway, that's a sidebar. Not Joe, DC. What's your ranking of those three if you had a choice?
Yeah, I think I'd go Tom Herman, Joe Brady, and Freddie Kitchens. But any three, I'd be happy with any three of them. I just think. I guess I would pick Herman because of a personal thing. I feel like anybody comes in and they have a desire to better themselves and help themselves. Where Herman, I think, has that, but also has the talent to help Alabama. When you marry those two things together, that kind of passion, I think it always ends up being a good deal.
Yeah.
And so I nothing against Joe Brady or Freddie Kitchens. I just think there's a bigger benefit for Tom Herman to coming through and going back to get a head coaching job. I think Joe Brady's on that path anyway, wherever he goes. And I think Tom Herman coming here, he would appreciate already, seeing a little bit of the process and coming in and being a bigger part of it. His passion and desire would line up with Alabama.
Yeah, and I probably would lean to Brady, similar path, but for different reasons, meaning that Brady is probably a guy who's a couple years away from that head coach job. I think he probably needs to show some stability, and so he could kind of become the not necessarily as long, but maybe the Pete Golding of the offense and spend several years here. Where I think if Tom Herman were to come in and have a great season, he'd probably get snatched right back up potentially. In terms of what he brings. And also saw what Joe Brady did with Joe Burrows, who, by the way, DC, I have to ask you, what do you think about Joe Burrow's comment that that in AFC Championship game is the second biggest win in his career, only to Alabama?
Well, I was talking about this yesterday with a friend of mine, and I went back to his first comment when they were all talking about how loud it was going to be in Arrowhead Stadium. He told them he wasn't worried about that because he played in some of the loudest stadiums ever in the SEC, and people laughed at him, but he was serious. He wasn't joking. And then after the game, when they asked him that question, he said, "It's second only to beating Alabama in 2019." I don't think everybody understands the passion of SEC football like we do in the South. And when he made that comment, I saw several other comments from various SEC fans around the nation that said, like a Tennessee fan says, no one really understands the passion of the SEC, or especially beating a rival that you hadn't beaten in quite a while, and the NFL just don't get it. And I think that's in his mind. I think he's telling the truth. He wasn't joking. That in his mind, that was the biggest thing, because beat Alabama, and that was something they wanted to do, and it was the biggest game of his career. He played the best game of his career.
Yeah,
I understand why he was saying it.
yep. And we got Tom, who made some analysis between some of the plays he made in that game Sunday to what he did against Alabama on that Saturday back in 2019. Hey, and the other side of OCs is we could be the Auburn Tigers, right? You could I mean, so you could be the Auburn Tigers right now, who Austin, I think Davis is his name, stepped aside virtually no time after being hired and only right before signing day. Ouch. Not good.
Not sure what's going on there inside the Auburn football program. Now, basketball program is up the trajectory, but the football program doesn't seem to be taking that same path.
Yeah, it's a lot going on there. But anyway, let's get to Tom. Tom, you're in with DC Capstone Report. What's on your mind, sir?
Morning, Mark. Morning, DC. How are y'all?
Doing well.
Tom, how are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for asking. Thankfully, I was taking my call too. But I thought we were going to basketball, and that's the reason I called in.
You can.
All right. Thank you, Mark. I had a question to put out there for y'all both to kind of discuss, if you would, amongst yourselves. But DC, nobody can deny, even me, the eternal optimism for Alabama, anything with an A on it, and crypto. But nobody can deny that this basketball team has probably the best and most quality win of any team in the nation. Would y'all agree with that? I mean, you beat 3 of the previous year's Final Four team. That's a strong statement, is it not? But nobody can deny we laid some eggs too, and the 3 games we got coming up, starting with Baylor, then we got to go to Auburn, and then we got Kentucky at home. Everybody in the world recognizes that that's as hard a 3-game stretch as you can possibly have, thanks, NATO. And but this schedule is killing me, and it's interesting at the same time.
I don't know that this portion of the schedule had anything to do with it, Coach Oates.
But the schedule previous, of schedule and all these former Final Four teams and all like that. But I mean, I like it. I'm not just gonna lie. And but my question is this: everybody knows that these next 2 games and this stretch is as hard as you can possibly get as far as schedule in basketball. But if we somehow were to go like 2 and 3 out of this 3-game stretch, or in the remaining 2 games, if we play really good and play those 2 teams close, and even if we, God forbid, lose both of them, what do you think that does to us as far as positioning in the selection committee's eyes?
Well, I was thinking about this yesterday and looking at all the different where they got Alabama slotted at this point in time, and someone made the comment that Alabama is a team that could go in and win the whole thing, or there's a team that could go in and lose in the first round. So they don't. So whoever's slotting Alabama, they don't want to have to do that because they don't really know which team's going to show up. If Alabama wins these next 2 games or one of these next 2 games, I think there's no problem. If they lose the next 2 games and play them close, I still don't think there's any problem in where they are. And then I go back to what you said about thanks to Nate Oates. I do thank Nate Oates for scheduling the teams he's scheduled early on.
Me too.
Because you look at Alabama with this record and put them under, our previous coaches, put this record under our previous coaches and the schedules that they had played, we would not even be we wouldn't even be talking for the NCAA tournament right now. We would be those teams that are out because there's similar teams at Alabama who are. But when you put us where we are right now with our net rating of who we played, only Marquette has got the same kind of wins over the net rating that we have, and Marquette doesn't have the bad losses that we have. But we're still right there with them in the slotting. So, I think we could lose the next 2 games and still be in the NCAA tournament. I don't expect us to do that. I expect us to win at least one of these next 2. And I wouldn't be surprised if we won all 3 of them. I really think we made a turnaround.
Let me ask you guys something. Will there be a team in the NCAA, including the Elite 8 and the Final 4, that will have a 3-game stretch this hard?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, think about it. We just beat the number 4 team. Now we play the number 1 team, and Kentucky's the number 5 team. I mean, that is Elite 8. That's Elite 8 Final 4 teams.
Well, when you put the whole schedule in there, think about it like that.
So I can guarantee you I don't know if there's ever been in the middle of a season a team have a stretch like this where they have the 2 highest ranked.
And then there won't be anybody else in the NCAA tournament that's had a stretch like this. There won't be anybody else in the NCAA tournament that's played that many top 5 teams like if you had Gonzaga and Houston in there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying right there. But I'm going to say this. Now, DC said if we win these next 2 games, I've been expecting for a long time that the Lord is a Bama fan. If we win the next 2, I hope.
That's pretty good, Tom.
That's good, Tom.
That's pretty good, Tom. That Crimson flow would definitely probably be the blood of Jesus if Alabama pulls off these 3 in a row. It would have to be one of the greatest regular season stretch runs in the history, especially considering the fact that the Crimson Tide lost to Georgia before this run started. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. We got a big game tonight against the Auburn Tigers coming back on the other side. DC Castar Report and the Martin Houston Show will break down Alabama versus Auburn.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks on this Tuesday morning and traffic moving pretty well. The interstate is fairly heavy eastbound toward Mercedes and Birmingham. If you see other conditions, just give me a call. Don't miss the February savings at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer with a great selection, and they want your trade. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
It's Tango Day, everybody. Follow after me and step and back and slide and dip. That's tango.
Why is Ice-T leading our tango class?
It's probably the heart-shaped Honey Nut Cheerios. He found out they can help lower cholesterol. Now he's having fun taking care of his heart in all sorts of new ways.
Let's see those hips move, people.
Hurry and get your heart-shaped Cheerios. They're only here for a limited time.
Get your biggest refund guaranteed. Jackson Hewitt Tax Pros will help find thousands worth of new tax credits so you get every dollar you deserve. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
At BMW of Tuscaloosa, the complete lineup of the ultimate driving machine is at the heart of everything we do. But we're also much more. We're your go-to dealer for high-quality, dependable used cars, trucks, and SUVs, and your go-to dealer for quick, easy financing. Incomparable BMWs? We've got them. Quality used vehicles? We've got them. Affordable payment plans? We've got them. BMW of Tuscaloosa's commitment to you in 22 is to be your go-to auto dealer. Skyland Boulevard, Tuscaloosa.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Yeah, I mean, he's take that back. You know, he's kind of that slasher on offense. We wanted him to get back to being who he was. You know, why did he play so many minutes last year for us? You know, he's tough, rebounds. You know, you look, he goes 7 of 8 from the field. If he took a 3, our stats people don't have it down. He's 0 for 0 on this. I don't remember it, but you know, he ends up with 15 points. He's plus 15 when he's in the game. You know, him, Noah, and Shaq all led us in plus minus. So see his impact on the game. He had the huge block on defense that he made. I thought that was big. You know, and he's kind of a guy that you can mix it up. You can play him at the 5 and switch. You can play the 4. We even had him playing some 3 at times tonight. So I think he's back to being who he is, why he played so many minutes for us last year. And, you know, especially at the end of the year, he was big for us. So great to have him back. Great job by Clark, our trainer, getting him back. Clark's birthday today. So it's nice he could help us out, get you on back on the floor for us.
That's Coach Nate Oates talking about Juwan Gary's return. I felt like Juwan Gary would be the Herb Jones of this team, and maybe, just maybe, that's been the inconsistency, DC, that we've seen from this team. The fact that Juwan Gary has been inconsistent due to some injuries and other things. Your thoughts?
I agree with you 100%. That's what I was alluding to with the injuries and in the locker room, and I think he's a big cog in this team. I think he's a big leader. I think he's a big voice and presence in the locker room. And as you know, Martin, it's hard to lead when you're hurt and you're injured, and it's hard to get hyped up when you're hurt and injured. And I think that I think when we are a better team, no doubt, we are a better team when he's on the court, in the flow of the offense and defense. So, and I think he gives us that jump that we really need, that punch that we really need. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in this game against Auburn.
Yeah, and he will be key in this in terms of he may draw the assignment on Jabari Smith, the nation's, which I think is the top player in the nation, definitely one of the top 2 or 3 guys in the country, if not the top guy. But DC, what's your 3-point shot for this team? What does Alabama have to do to get a victory against the Auburn Tigers?
Well, I think it starts with defense. We got to play good defense, and if we can maintain the intensity on defense, that's our number one thing. I think that'll turn into some good fast break points, some good in the flow offensive points, and so make our offense flow from our defense. And then finally, I think we've got to shoot well and rebound. We got a good job rebounding on the offensive end of the board, and we got to shoot well. If 2 of our 3-point shooters have a good game, and we play good defense, there's no reason we can't go in there and beat this Auburn team. Although this Auburn team is probably one of the best teams, if not the best team, that we've played all year.
Yeah, I had defense, of course, and my thing was extended a little bit so they don't get those because Auburn will pull up a 3 from just across the half-court line, so you got to be ready at all times on defense. I think rebounding with Kessler and their big bodies, I don't know that we have to necessarily win the rebounding battle, but we have got to keep it close, especially limit their offensive rebounds and second chance. And Virgil Williams pointed out something. I think that when this team is moving the ball, Joe, do you remember what was that percentage of our shots? It was really high this time that were related to came off of assists, somewhere around over half or right at half.
16 out of 29 baskets.
Yeah, so just over half our points came off of assisted buckets. Thus, Juwan Gary goes 7 for 8. Slashing to the bucket. I think playing assist basketball, which means guys aren't standing around waiting on someone else to score. And that's what Virgil Williams just said, and I agree with that assessment as well. So I think if we have a high number of assist guys in double figures, extended defense, picking up those Auburn guys and make them work. And DC, Quinterly he's been in the teens in the SEC. If he just gets into the low 30s on his percentage in his shooting, I think we walk away with a victory. I'm going out on a limb. Of course, it's more hope than necessarily absolute belief, but I think this team shows up again and shocks the world and gives Auburn his first loss in 18 straight games. So
I agree with you 100%. If Quinley gets anywhere close to 30%, I think we'll win the ball game.
Yep. All right, DC, tell them where they can find you, sir.
Find me on DCCapstoneReport.com, DC Capstone Report Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter at DavidCott50.
All right, that's DCCapstoneReport.com. You can find me on Facebook at DC Capstone Report as well, and follow at DavidCott50. Thanks, DC, and hopefully next week we'll be talking about Alabama with the 3 biggest wins in a row of any team in the country, maybe in this program's history. But we'll talk about that next week, and we're looking forward to catching back up with you. All right. Hey, that wraps up this edition of the Martin Houston Show. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I want to remind you, hey, come check out Harvest Church. Harvest Church, we have Wednesday night services at 6:30 as well as Sunday mornings at 10 and Bible study at 9 o'clock. Love to have you. And, hey, we just started a 21-day fast. If you want to join us, you're welcome to do so. We're in day 2 of a 21-day fast. Love to have you. That's Harvest Church, hctuscaloosa.com. For the Martin Houston Show, thank you. Trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. Always acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Roll Tide and have a blessed day, guys.
It's a celebration. Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9
You too. Thanks, Jeff.